and welcome back to 30 at 6 on Cecil TV. Today is Monday, May 13th. I'm Alison Donnelly.
And I'm Rob Churnside, and I'm having a little bit of a rough time.
Yeah, what's going on, Rob? Are your allergies acting up?
No, I'm trying to find the right disguise because I'm going undercover for a week and really get the dirt on Wormgate. I don't think this is the right disguise,
I don't think this is the right one, but you're supporting a good cause.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Everyday Heroes, Red Nose Day, May 23rd. Go to your local Walgreens, spend $2 and you get this lovely red nose. You can keep it forever. And you help children all over the world. So contribute if you would.
So this past weekend was Mother's Day. How did you honor your
I honored my wife because my mom, God rest her soul, has passed on. And what I did was whatever she told me to do. And it's continued.
Great.
I'm going to do it every day. I cleaned out the garage today in the basement and made some soup.
Oh, nice.
And I happened to see you honoring your mom.
Yeah, we ran into you at Granite Run Tap Room.
What a great place to eat.
It was a great place to eat. So tonight's show is pretty busy. We were at the groundbreaking ceremony at the Northeast Library this past weekend, so we'll be showing our coverage of that. We've also got Suzanne Chadwick here to talk about the Havre Grace Jazz and Blues Festival. That's coming up in June, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got Dialogue with Leadership with County Executive Dr. McCarthy. And we have local author Chris Malone to talk about his second book, Herald in the Name of Love.
Wow. Action-packed show.
You had some other things you wanted to talk about, right?
Well, I'm telling you, I'm really bugged about these worms. These are power bait. Mm-hmm. You keep it forever. You spend $4.79, you keep it forever. Why do people pay $5.99 for night crawlers?
It's a great question.
I got to find out.
You're going to find out.
And I'm going to find the right disguise, and I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Mr. Twisters, $3. What makes the worms better than them? Technology should reign supreme, I would think.
I would think too.
I'm going to find out, and I'm going to talk to some people. When I come back, let's hope I come back.
This is the kind of hard-hitting reporting that we need here in Cecil County.
Yes, folks. If you have something you want investigated, put us on it.
And now for the news. An investigation continues tonight into Friday afternoon's fatal crash involving 2 cars and a dump truck on Route 40. While approaching the construction site near Elk Neck Road, 26-year-old Madeline Clifton of Northeast suffered a medical emergency and entered the closed right lane, then veered back to the left lane where it struck the rear of a Nissan Sentra driven by 35-year-old Kristen Griffin, also from Northeast. The Sentra was propelled into the closed right lane where it struck a parked dump truck. Madeline Clifton declined medical assistance from Cecil County Emergency Services at the scene. The driver of the truck, Eric Mackey, 35-year-old of Elkton, was apparently uninjured from the crash. However, the operator of the Sentra, Kristen Griffin, was flown to the University of Maryland Shock Trauma in Baltimore by a Maryland State Police Aviation medevac helicopter. Ultimately, Kristen Griffin succumbed to her injuries while at shock trauma on Sunday. Anyone who may have witnessed this collision is asked to contact the Maryland State Police Northeast Barrack. Once completed, the investigation will be presented to the Cecil County State's Attorney's Office to review for the possibility of charges. The Maryland Department of Agriculture and the Maryland Department of Natural Resources are working together to address the continued illegal use of the highly dangerous and banned pesticide carbofuran that has been implicated in recent poisoning events in Kent and Talbot counties that have killed at least 7 bald eagles and 1 horned owl. This is the latest in a string of incidents that date back to February 2016 when 13 bald eagles were poisoned under similar circumstances in Caroline County. MDA's pesticide regulation section has issued an enforcement advisory regarding the persistent illegal use of carbofuran, which was commonly sold under the trade name Furadan. In 2009, federally approved uses of carbofuran were voluntarily canceled after the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency concluded that its dietary works and ecological risks were unacceptable for all use. It is illegal to use or sell any of these products under state and federal law. Any violation of Maryland's pesticide applicator law is subject to a fine of up to $25,000 and/or prison. These violations may also be subject to additional penalties from the EPA. And from Annapolis today, Governor Larry Hogan applauded the Department of Homeland Security's finalization of a joint rule providing an additional 30,000 H-2B visas for this summer through the H-2B Non-Immigrant Temporary Worker Program. On Tuesday, the governor reiterated the importance of this issue in a call with Acting Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Kevin McAleenan. H-2B workers are critical for Maryland's seasonal blue crab industry and sweet corn processors. Additionally, loss of these workers will potentially have the devastating impact on iconic family businesses as well as jobs in our state. The Departments of Homeland Security and Labor published the final rule today providing for these additional visas. Governor Hogan said, "This news could not come at a better time after we just learned that our blue crab population is booming." We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sam Charles. For 30 years, I have been practicing functional medicine and gentle chiropractic. Elkton Chiropractic Neurology is dedicated to enhancing whole-body rejuvenation, whether or not you are afflicted with injury or disease. We utilize a structural, neurologic, metabolic, nutritional, and energetic approach to restoring your body to its full potential.
After coming to Dr. Charles, I'm better than I was before.
You deserve to feel good and to have an active lifestyle, so why not call Elkton Chiropractic Neurology today?
I want to thank every person here for their enthusiasm, for their support, and their vision for this new library. It's really what has sustained us and helped to bring us to this place. We've spent the past year, as we've been designing the library, speaking to members of this community and really working to understand your needs, your goals, and your aspirations, and how we might connect the library to this new library to help you achieve those. And so what we know and what we've heard is that this community is very optimistic about its future, particularly the future of its children, and I think you're going to see all of this come into play with our new library.
The library is a temple of learning, and learning has liberated more people than all the wars in history. This is Carl Rohn, a journalist and author from the United States. A library outranks all other one thing that a community can do to benefit its citizens. It's Andrew Carnegie. Having said that, good morning and thank you for being here today to celebrate this monumental occasion, the groundbreaking for the new Northeast Branch Library. We could not be more excited this day than it's finally here. The Northeast Branch Library will be the first library constructed in Cecil County in more than 1 decade.
I learned that the library attracts people from all walks of life. Coming through the doors are patrons who drive new cars and some who can't afford a car, students researching projects, seniors who spend their days reading newspapers, teens who furtively check out steampunk vampire novels, and each other. Even in the age of Google, patrons pepper the reference desk with every question imaginable. Librarians spend a lot of time helping middle-aged job seekers, often because these patrons lack computer skills. They've been set adrift by layoffs in a new digital world. The Great Recession never really ended for them. When I stopped seeing a regular, I could only hope it meant that he or she had found a job.
When I was a teenager, my first job was the Saturday librarian at the Northeast Library, which was located on the 2nd floor of the old lockup. We lived on Church Street, and I walked down to Perkinsville, picked up the door key from Mrs. Mabel DeMond, who was a member of the Northeast Women's Civic League, and proceeded to the library. I opened the library, checked books in and out on Saturdays from 2 to 4. I was paid 50 cents an hour. The Northeast Civic League and the town of Northeast have always been an important partner with the library from its humble beginnings to where we are today.
I'd like to say that honestly, if I had my way, we had our library tucked away downtown somewhere near our schools, in the middle of our town. But I had to learn quickly, we can't function that way any longer. We had to learn that our county and our towns are really one entity. And if we're going to meet the needs of our community, we need to be out where the community can access the buildings and access the resources we have. And so better forward-thinking people than me decided we would have it up here. And it took me a while to get on board with that, but I want to say this is an amazing decision. we're very grateful that you chose to be here, where this library is accessible to nearly 25,000 of our residents. That's an incredible gift to Cecil County, and thankfully we're not downtown tucked away, we're out here because we can't afford to do those things any longer, even for people as special as Northeast. We have to be more inclusive of everyone.
Hello, I'm here with Morgan Miller, Director of Cecil County Public Libraries. We're at the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Northeast Library. So quite a turnout today.
It is, and I think it truly reflects just not only the support from elected officials, but from the entire community, business community, residents around building our new library.
Is it smooth sailing from here? Obviously, there's been a ton of planning, 10 years of planning and work going into this, so now what?
We certainly hope so. You'll start to see some heavy equipment out on the site here within the next few weeks, and we're going to look for many more opportunities throughout construction to engage the community in that process. And about 18 months from now, I'll be talking with you at our groundbreaking, or at our ribbon cutting.
Right. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alison.
I'm here with Cecil County Council President Bob Meffley. What are your thoughts on today?
Well, I tell you, this has been a long time coming. I'm really happy to see this. We worked hard on the council to get it. The impact, what it's going to have in this area is fantastic. People don't realize that when you build something like this, that all they worry about is dollars and cents. They don't see the value it brings to the community. I'm just happy to see this, the turnout, and I'm ready to get a shovel on the ground.
Great. Thank you.
Good.
Hello, I'm here at the after party for the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Northeast Library. I'm here with John Slater. He's just checked out the virtual reality device to see what the new library will look like on the inside. What did you think?
I think it's going to be a great addition to our neighborhood. We're really looking forward to it, all the spaces that they're going to have for meetings and other things for small businesses in the community. It's going to be a great addition to our neighborhood.
So you own a business here, right here, the Body Force.
Yeah, right here in this shopping center, Body Force Fitness. We're a 24/7 fitness facility. Our focus is small group and large group functional fitness. So we're looking forward to the addition of the library.
So you're both a community member and a business owner. So and you're seeing already the opportunities for collaboration with the library.
Absolutely. I mean, I've talked to Morgan a couple years ago when I first met her, and she was really excited about bringing everything here, the meeting spaces, the lab spaces. It's going to be a great addition.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back to 30 at 6 and Dialogue with Leadership with County Executive Dr. McCarthy. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Yourself?
I'm doing well.
Well, that's good. You enjoying the rain?
Well, not particularly. So we received word last week that the Maryland Board of Public Works has approved the $17 million that will enable Turner Construction Company to begin working on the upgrades necessary to make Fair Hill a 5-star eventing competition site. So that's really exciting, and
yes,
I think that work will start next month, I believe. Can we expect other developments that spurred by the 5-star growth in the Fair Hill area? Hotels, restaurants, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I would expect all of those things to eventually come. I think as we start off, it'll be a very slow development process, but I think that you can expect to see development of hotels probably in Elkton and the towns that have water and sewer in their infrastructure. Mm-hmm. I think they will come along. They're anticipating, once this is up and running, probably attracting 80 to 85,000 people per event, which would be a lot of people.
Can you remind us of the timeline for construction?
No, I really can't. I mean, I know about it, but the thing is have not been completely involved in all the development here, and the money has only been put forward in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I'm certain there'll be a lot of shuffling around of the monies and development plans, which basically were in their infancy to begin with, but they will be developed, and I think it'll be a very nice establishment, but I'm really not intimately involved in exactly how this is going to come down.
I think it'll be a great way to put Cecil County on the map even more than we already
There's no doubt
are.
about that.
Yeah.
You'll get national coverage and worldwide coverage from this event.
That's true.
We had the
'Cause
3-star
1 in
events
7,
already,
right?
and then it's been an overwhelming success.
Great. Switching gears to different kinds of animals. In a recent interview with the Cecil Whig, you described the increasing number of cats that entering the Cecil County Animal Services shelter. Is this a matter of the animal services being more effective at picking up cats, or are there actually more cats?
Well, I don't know that there's any more cats, but I think that our philosophy now is a no-kill shelter. With people knowing that, they're much more inclined to bring the animals to the facility for the cat's welfare, whereas before they knew if they took them to the shelter, more than likely the cats would be destroyed. So not doing that, people are bringing the cats to the facilities. We do everything we can to spay, neuter, and vaccinate them for rabies and return them to the people that brought them in for care. This way, hopefully over a period of time, the animal population, certainly the cat population, will start to diminish as they become spayed and neutered.
Right, and so that's part of the trap, neuter, release
Yes,
program.
that's correct, yes.
And that's been in place for many years and is
It has, and
effective.
it's much more effective at this point. Once we get more cats, more spays, more neuters, hopefully the cat population will start to decrease considerably. The biggest concern about that was we had to increase the budget to take care of all these animals because there's so many of them. I mean, I think we're over 3,000 cats now, whereas before they never had more than 40 or 50 cats previously.
So I know that there was a $140,000 budget
Yes,
amendment. What does that cover?
The care of the animals, feeding the animals, basically veterinary services for the animals, and basically the operational costs to take care of that huge volume of cats. That's where it goes to.
This past Saturday, we celebrated the groundbreaking of the new Northeast Library. And everyone I've spoken to is super excited about the new library.
That is correct.
From normal citizens to business leaders and politicians like yourself. Is this new library a symbol of where the county is going?
I certainly hope it is. I mean, I think this is turning over a new leaf. I think we're onward and upward. The people are very excited about it. It's the first library that we've put in the county in probably over a decade. It's taken 10 years to get here.
Right, that's amazing.
It is. It is absolutely positively amazing. Many people, including Morgan Miller, General Wiggins, have worked tirelessly to make this happen. They've secured the money. The state of Maryland recognizes what a good job Cecil County has done with its library and its funding, that it's basically put forth over $3 million in the last 3 years to assist us in the development. It'll be a central library. It's centrally located in Northeast Maryland, which is essentially the geographic center of Cecil County. It'll basically help the Elkton Library because there's 4,000 square feet of Elkton Library space right now, which is used for the administrative functions, which will be shifted to Northeast to allow further library expansion in the Elkton area. So everything about this is great. It's state of the art. It's got good architectural designs. It's very open. It's very airy. There's learning centers for children, for entrepreneurial studies and things of that nature. So I'm really, really excited.
One of the things I thought was interesting that I didn't know was a discussion prior to Saturday was that Mayor McKnight of Northeast mentioned that he originally thought it would be best to have the library situated downtown in Northeast, but that he came around to the idea of it being where it is, which is right off of Route 40. Why do you think that's such a good placement for the library?
I think there's a number of reasons that it is the town of Northeast is fairly old and there's very limited parking there. I think being where it is right now, there should be adequate parking because there's a huge shopping center. The other thing is you can see it from Route 40 and you'll also be able to see it from 272. Whereas if it's in Northeast, I don't even know where they would put it.
I don't either. Yeah.
So basically, it's in front of a big shopping center, which there'll be tremendous visibility. People can shop and go to the library, or go to the library and go shop. I think it'll be absolutely great. I wasn't crazy about the location initially, but the more I think about it, I think the better it'll be. And it's convenient to so many areas, and basically it's one-stop shopping and one-stop library.
Exactly. Do you have any other updates?
Let me think. Well, recent numbers indicate that the residential housing is starting to really pick up considerably. I think our budget's going to reflect that many of the initiatives which we originally put into place a number of years ago are really starting to take hold and generate revenue. Those are some positive things. Our income this year was greater than it has been previously. From a budgetary standpoint, Cecil County is in better shape financially than it's been for many, many, many years, if not better than it's ever been. We're having lots and lots of people calling, looking for properties. We have other businesses looking for locations. I think that we're really on a very, very good path to prosperity. We've created lots of jobs. If anyone says that they're unemployed, I can tell you right now, if they're unemployed, it's because they don't want a job, because there's tons of jobs available. Recent numbers indicate we've created well over 4 million square feet of new commercial space. We've created well over 3,000 new jobs. We recently opened or cut the ribbon on the Brantwood recreational facility.
Right.
And that was an overwhelming success. I've never seen more people at ribbon cutting in my life. There was tons of kids running on the trails. There's people there every day fishing, walking their dogs, playing on the swing sets. It really makes my heart just race to look at all the good things that are going on and the enjoyment that the people see in all of the things we're starting to provide.
Yeah, Cecil County
We also cut a ribbon for a Frisbee park, which is
Where?
at Calvert Regional Park. This was not this Sunday, but Sunday a week ago, pouring down rain. I was asked to come and cut the ribbon. I mean, it's raining cats and dogs. When I got there were 50 young men eagerly awaiting to play the Frisbee game. And as soon as I cut the ribbon, away they went in the pouring down rain to play Frisbee. So they call it disc golf, by the way, not Frisbee.
Yes. Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
But it was really, really good to see all this going on. I'm so excited about what we see happening in Cecil County.
I think it's just a really great picture of Cecil County right now with the groundbreaking of the library, the grand opening of the park, and the Frisbee course. It's a good things.
There's so many good things going on, I can't even keep track of them anymore.
Well, this has been Dialogue with Leadership with County Executive Alan McCarthy. Thanks so much.
Thank you so very much for inviting me here. I have a good time.
Of course. Christopher L. Malone is an English teacher, a local musician, and the author of his second book, Herald in the Name of Love. Chris, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So this is your second book. Tell us what Herald in the Name of Love is about.
So I've been describing Herald in the Name of Love as a dark comedy about a bad marriage, but only one person in the relationship knew it was a bad marriage. So it involves death, and it involves the grieving process. Like, how do you come back from having your partner die, and then you're confronted with some ugly truths. So it's all of that, but then there's also this really weird sort of ghost story element, which is to say, Harold is being haunted by his dead wife, but not for the reasons that he thinks they are.
Right.
So I don't want to get in too much to it, but because I don't want to spoil it.
Right.
But
Don't want to give too much away.
There's a pretty decent twist to the reason for the paranormal occurrences. So.
Well, as you mentioned, I also would agree that this is a dark comedy.
Yeah.
But it certainly explores some themes, love and friendship, throughout the book. What other themes did you explore in writing this?
There were a few characters that were a lot of fun to write, and in the writing process, it really did force me to think about a few things, mental health being one of them. Harold, when we meet him, is depressed, and he's attempting to take his own life.
Very methodically.
Yeah, very methodically. Chapter 1 is titled The Fourth Attempt, so his attempts keep failing, and he doesn't understand why. But in that process, it's, he's not talking to anybody either. He's very privately trying to hold on to this grief while putting on a face to convey like everything's normal, everything's fine. And it's not fine. It's not okay. And the same held true with his marriage. It was not okay. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes we get into these relationships where we're not communicating, we're not talking to each other. And by the time you get to the end of the novel, you think, I hope you think, God, what could have been avoided if they just were honest with each other and had this conversation? And so there's a really fun way where I try to facilitate these two people getting to have that conversation finally. And that was a joy to write. I talk about therapy in the book, which is something I think as generationally, I think we're getting more comfortable with, which is a good thing. I think that's the more we know, the better. And I think we know more now than we ever did before about how the human brain works, about how we harbor emotions and feelings. And we can't turn back the clock on that. Like we can't put that information back in the box. We know how mental health affects us on a daily basis. We know how our body handles stress better than we ever have before. Mm-hmm. And we have this really weird, pointless sort of discussion about, well, that's not how we did things back in my day. We didn't share our feelings because we didn't know any better.
Right.
Now we do. And relationships today have the chance to be some of the greatest relationships human beings have ever cultivated, because we understand now more than ever the importance of communication. Yeah. And that's not just with Harold and Nancy in the book, but that's also with Harold and his best friend Damon,
right.
The
rock star,
the has-been rocker who's trying to make a comeback. So he was a really fun character to write. So it seems like there's so much in this book that's very relatable to any audience with relationships and mental health. How did you come up with this story? Any story idea comes up in really weird ways. I wrote the first chapter, I would say it was 2012. There's a program that happens every year in the month of November called NaNoWriMo, which is short for National Novel Writing Month.
Oh, okay.
And all the English teachers in the building that I worked in when I worked for Hartford County Public Schools, we all would throw our hats and say, this is going to be the time we do it. I came up with this great idea. And the idea was based on a friend. I won't say his name for the sake of privacy, but he had this really scary thing happen to him. He was driving down I-76 in Philly, and he was having an argument with his girlfriend. And while driving, his girlfriend just turned around and started kicking him while he was driving. And he almost died. He had to pull over, and that was clearly the end of that relationship.
It sounds like it was time.
But that was such a scary way to all, and my buddy's this really great guy. I love him to pieces, and that would be a terrible way to go. And I kind of had an obsessive moment about that, and I thought, like, what if something did happen in that? Mm-hmm. And I kind of developed this story of, if that was the way your partner died, how would you process that moment? And so that's kind of the moment that happens for Harold. I wrote the first chapter. My brother, who I dedicated the book to, loved it. And I was getting ready to write the rest of the book, and I talked to my mother about it. Mm-hmm. And I told her about this character, Nancy, that I was coming up with. And she said, oh, Christopher, I don't even want to read it because, honestly, it's not going to be any good. Nancy doesn't even, women don't do that. And she had me shook. So I didn't write it. And it kind of collected dust. My brother would call, and every now and again he'd ask me about Harold. And when are you going to write the rest of that book? And then about 2 years ago, after I published my first book, Hangdog, I was kind of twiddling my thumbs like, well, what do I do now? And Nick had always asked, like, well, if I were to try to write that book today, because I was obviously a few years older, had a little more experience with women, and really trying to understand that sort of mentality. It's very hard to write from a female perspective while trying to honor and respect that unique point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I only know so much being a guy, but I grew up with a lot of sisters and a very vocal mother, a very vocal, wonderful wife, my wife Chassie. And I would talk about things, I'd bounce ideas off. And my goal was, can I make a female character that isn't just a two-dimensional villain,
Mm-hmm.
like the quintessential evil woman, because
Right.
that's not real.
Right.
That doesn't really exist in the real world. You know, as my wife likes to say, there's one side of the story, there's the other side of the story, and then somewhere in the middle is the truth. And
That's
I
true.
tried really hard to give both sides of the story, and hopefully the reader will think it over and say, all right, then this is what the truth is.
Where can people read your book?
It is available online, Amazon.com. It's also published through Silverbow Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
So my publisher's out of Vancouver, Canada, which is pretty cool. They're an independent publisher. They mainly do poetry, so they took a chance on my book, and they've been very nice to me about that. I also sell locally in Elkton with Patty Paulus at the Palette and the Page. And as a matter of fact, I've got a book signing coming up. It was June 7th. It's first Friday in June. There's going to be another writer there. There's several great works of art. If you've never been to Palette and the Page.
Mm-hmm. Or First Friday.
Or First Friday in general. Main Street in Elkton in general is a great place to be on any night of the week.
Yeah.
But on a First Friday, it's definitely got a lot going on for it. So I'll be doing a book signing there, and then copies of this book as well as my first novel, Hangdog,
Cool.
will also be available, yeah.
Cool. And before we let you go, as we mentioned, you are a musician. You're in a couple of bands.
Yeah.
Where can we see you play?
So I've got a new band called Tip of the Whisker, and we are playing May 23rd at Power Plant Live in Baltimore City. We're really
Cool.
excited. That's our first show with our new frontman, Micah. You can look us up on Facebook, Tip of the Whisker. And then I'm in a local band, Plan B, with Rob Masmiano over at Tidewater Tattoos.
Yep.
My buddy Sam Anderson, Dave Masmiano, and my longtime great friend Ben Day on drums. Plan B, we play all over. We've played at the Northeast VFW. We play a lot over at Minahanes, right there in Elkton. So you can look us up online as well. And we've got a couple of shows coming up. I don't know them off the top of my head. Sorry, guys. I don't know them off the top of my head.
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
I didn't expect it.
But Plan B, look us up. So.
Local author Christopher L. Malone, the author of the new Herald in the Name of Love. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And now welcome back to 30 to 6 for more fun. And welcome Suzanne Chadwick from Havre de Grace to tell us about the Havre de Grace Jazz and Blues Festival.
Thanks,
Coming up
Rob.
when?
Coming up June 7th, 8th, and 9th in Havre de Grace.
Wow. At the park, right?
All over town.
Oh, all over town.
Yeah, all over town. We've got the Cultural Center at the Opera House. We have the Havre de Grace Auditorium. We have Hutchins Park. And there are also community partners like restaurants, museums, galleries, all kinds of participants, all kinds of things happening.
So I read your email very quickly, but I did notice that you're offering a potpourri of artists. That's a lovely term, and it
has a nice scent to it.
You bring it too, right?
Yeah, yes. We've got a lot of artists coming. For some reason, this just turned into a really big event. So we open, and with the collaboration with the city, we have First Friday in Havre de Grace. Kicking things off. So there are multiple stages, and there'll be jazz and blues on several different stages. And then our first headliner is Jack Broadbent. And Jack Broadbent was busking on the streets of Amsterdam in 2016, and later that year found himself on the stage of Montreux Jazz Festival.
How about that?
And they touted him as the new master of the slide guitar. So he's opening up Friday night. Saturday we have a Maryland Rising Stars concert at Hutchins Park. And I've just become very passionate about finding musicians, new music, and this particular festival I scouted for at least 6 months. And so we have Noah Pierre Trio, and he's graduating Towson State this month, I assume. We have Havre de Grace alum Tony Hancock Trio, and he is a sax player. Noah's a guitarist, a phenomenal guitarist, doing a blues tribute, including guitar greats music of Stevie Ray Vaughan, Joe Bonamassa, all kinds of great stuff. He's got the chops for it. Then Tony Hancock graduated from Havre de Grace High School, and he's taken his sax skills actually to the rock world, and he's been playing with Neck Deep, which is kind of a heavy metal band, and played Wembley. He did a UK tour this winter. So he also has a trio, and they've been playing together since middle school.
Wow.
So, and it's a lot of fun. That's more smooth jazz. And then Mark G. Meadows and the Movement are coming out of another part of Maryland closer to DC, and he's a pianist, and he's phenomenal. So that's going to be a great concert, all three of them. And then we have the Headhunters Band back at the Cultural Center at the Opera House. And if you've heard Herbie Hancock, you've probably heard of the Headhunters. So we have original member Mike Clark on drums, and Benny Russell, saxophonist who also is at Harford Community College. And then after that, we have the big headliner, Mindy Abair and the Bone Shakers at the Havre de Grace Auditorium, and the opener is Johnny Neal.
Johnny Neal.
You know Johnny
buddy
Neal.
From way back when.
Yay, because he grew up in Newark.
Well, he grew up, I think, in Newcastle.
Newcastle. I knew it was somewhere in the area.
To Newcastle.
So he lives in, I think, Nashville, but he always has his local band up here. So the local band will pair up with Johnny Neal and open for Mindy Abair and the Bone Shakers. Mindy has 2 Grammy nominations. The latest was Pretty Good for a Girl. She's coming out with another new album at the end of June. And she's honestly a hot blonde sax player. I mean, it's just going to be a party.
This is a party that's going to last all weekend, rain or shine, right?
Yes, because we have indoor venues. Even the Hutchins Park venue, we can move to the Opera House.
Now, how do people get tickets, or is there no tickets?
Tickets, HDG, HDGJazzBluesFest.org.
I have it written down here. It's
and Sunday we have the Cab Calloway Orchestra with Nico Sarbanes opening. And we have a local resident, the daughter of Cab Calloway, Cammy Murphy, and it's her son that is leading the Cab Calloway Orchestra.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to be a big deal as well.
Heidi ho.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember that one, yeah. It really does sound like a great potpourri of artists, and rain or shine because you're going to have indoor venues.
Yeah. And
food and beverages at the locations.
Yes, there's actually going to be, at Hutchins Park, there's going to be also food out there as well as restaurants, and then we'll have stuff at concessions at the Havre de Grace Auditorium as well.
This will bring people to Havre de Grace.
Hopefully. We are going to get word out up to Philadelphia and New Jersey, down to D.C., Baltimore, Harford County, Cecil County. Thanks to Visit Harford and their infusion of support, we are putting on a pretty good marketing campaign.
That's awesome. And the Havre de Grace Arts Collective, of which you are on the board and part of this committee, what else do you do besides this particular concert?
Well, all year long we are collaborating with companies that either rent the facility or we scout and bring in acts. So we may have a jazz act, we may have a theater company come in. We cover theater, music, all kinds. It could be rock, it could be classical. All year long we have music, theater.
When you say your facility, Suzanne, you mean?
At the Cultural Center at the Opera House.
Okay.
Which they did a $4.1 million renovation under 2 years ago for a 200-seat theater. Nice. So it is sweet. Wonderful seats, LED lights, state-of-the-art sound, all kinds of stuff. So you're comfortable, you're close. If you want to see something, great performers in a theater setting, it's wonderful. And we have great great audiences. The people that come are usually so enthusiastic that the performers feel it. And you know what that does.
Right.
You know, when the audience is into you, it elevates your performance, so it's a win-win.
It's going to be an elevated weekend, June 7th, 8th, and 9th. Downtown Havre de Grace, all over town. Is there anything that we missed talking about?
We have a clinic also Sunday with high school jazz bands. That's being run by one of the musicians from the Cab Calloway Orchestra. And we have the Eric Bird Trio at the Opera House on Sunday afternoon. And they tour the world, acoustic piano, bass, and drums, I think it is. And there's restaurants that are going to have music, special offers around town. I know Joe Retro is having an album sale, $1 or $2 for vinyl, if you're into vinyl.
Wow.
And that's a great deal. And there's all kinds of special offers, free admission to museums if you've got a ticket. There's all kinds of special things that we're offering, or a lot of businesses and restaurants are offering.
Sounds great, and we're less than a month away, so get your tickets now. People out there in TV land, Cecil County and the world, and Cecil TV is going to be there.
Great, and thank you for this offer. Really appreciate the opportunity to do this.